is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Good evening, Philippines, and good day, world. It's Thursday, November 23, 2023, and you're watching Newsline World. I'm Franco Baranda, and we will bring you the top stories we've gathered from all over the globe. President Bongbong Marcos assured that the government is doing everything it can for the 17 Filipino seafarers taken hostage by Houthi rebels. The Israeli military published a video claiming that they discovered a secret tunnel under Shifa Hospital that was allegedly used as a command center of Hamas. Following the temporary truce between Israel and Hamas, the United Arab Emirates sent tons of additional aid for Palestinians in Gaza. Russia's President Putin attended to G20 summit virtually, wherein he claimed that his country never gave up on its peace talks with Ukraine and that it was Kiev that cut them off by signing a decree banning such negotiations. And the OpenAI drama is over, and its CEO, Sam Altman, is back just after he was fired from his position. These and more for tonight's edition of Newsline World. After Israel and Hamas confirmed their temporary ceasefire in Gaza Strip, the Jewish state said that the truce and release of hostages will not begin before Friday. To recall, both sides agreed that Hamas would release at least 50 hostages, mainly women and children, in exchange for about 150 Palestinian prisoners currently in Israeli jails. Israel will also allow more humanitarian aid to enter the besieged enclave. Meanwhile, the death toll from the ongoing Palestine-Israel conflict has surpassed 15,900, according to the official data released by both sides. According to the Hamas-run government media office, the death toll on the Palestinian side in the Gaza Strip has increased to 14,532 since the October 7 attack. Among the deceased were 6,000 children and 4,000 women. More than 35,000 Palestinians have also been injured amid the fighting. The Israeli side, around 1,200 people have lost their lives as per their government's data. Israeli forces uncovered what they claim is an underground tunnel used by Hamas fighters. It has various amenities, including an air-conditioned meeting room, and this tunnel was said to be adjacent to the Shifa Hospital in Gaza. Let's find out more with Jane Cognita.
A bathroom, kitchen, and an air-conditioned meeting room. These were among the amenities found by the Israeli Defense Forces or IDF in a tunnel adjacent to the Shifa Hospital in Gaza. According to the IDF, the tunnel's entrance has a height of around 2 meters or 6.5 feet and can be accessed through an outdoor shaft within the hospital complex grounds.
All this mechanism above us is a hospital. Above us, patient, wounded, doctors, all being a human shield for this tunnel system here at Shifa Hospital. The electricity you see is the electricity that provide the communication, the command and control, meaning from those tunnels you can command and control all the terror mechanism waging war outside in Gaza.
Shifa Hospital, the largest medical complex in Gaza, has become a center of accusations of war crimes from Israel and Hamas. Israel has accused Hamas of using the Shifa Hospital as its central command and control center, but Hamas and hospital officials strongly deny these claims. On the other hand, Palestinians are claiming that Israeli forces are targeting hospitals and contending that these hospital sites are used to shelter armed fighters. And recently, the IDF arrested several Al-Shifa medical personnel, including the hospital's director, Dr. Muhammad Abu Salmiya, as reported by the Israeli Broadcasting Authority. The Al-Shifa director's cousin also confirmed the arrest on X. Meanwhile, Israeli authorities believe that there might be another exit from the underground tunnel that they have yet to open, and that they are confident that it led to the city and is connected to another opening in a kindergarten located in Gaza. Reporting, this has been Jane Conita, SMNI News.
Thai nationals taken captive by Hamas may soon taste freedom under a temporary ceasefire agreed on by Israel and Hamas. Anissa de Guzman will tell us more.
The government of Thailand sees hope in the fate of more than 20 Thai hostages after Israel and Hamas decided to pause hostilities and swap prisoners for hostages. Prime Minister Shreta Thavisin said the ceasefire would be an opportunity to release Thai hostages and evacuate them from conflict zones. Shreta added he is trying to hold talks with Qatar to allow Thais to pass through the said country during repatriation efforts. It remains unclear whether fighting will resume after the ceasefire. Last week, a Thai politician assigned under the country's hostage release negotiating team assured that all 25 Thais are safe. More than 30 Thais died in the conflict. The United States and Israel announced that no hostages will be released before Friday. The news dashed the hopes of some desperate relatives who were hoping that some of their loved ones taken hostage by Hamas would be freed as early as Thursday. Di siya Anissa de Guzman, Rengan Chakuntep Hanakon, SMN News, Pratat Thai, Sawadika.
A militant group supported by Iran warned to strike more U.S. targets after American warplanes bombed two of their sites in Iraq. Cassidy Caddis reports.
American forces launched its fourth round of retaliatory airstrikes against Iranian proxies in Iraq. The U.S. Central Command and Defense officials said that U.S. fighter jets struck two facilities used by Iranian-backed militias on Wednesday. American officials said that airstrikes were a response to dozens of attacks launched by Iran-backed groups against U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh told reporters U.S. forces have been attacked approximately 66 times since October 17th. The attack started more than a week after Hamas' deadly terror attack on Israel. Meanwhile, militia officials in Iraq claimed that the U.S. airstrikes on Wednesday had killed 8 members of Hezbollah brigades in Iraqi capital of Baghdad and vowed to retaliate if the attacks continue. Reporting, this has been Melchizedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.
The United Arab Emirates sent tons of additional aid for Palestinians in Gaza. Datere Omori has the details.
13 trucks containing 252 tons of critical supplies left the UAE for Egypt earlier this week. The humanitarian aid convoy transported 16,800 food parcels and 360 tents for residents in Gaza. About 84,000 people will benefit from the UAE's latest round of aid under its latest initiative known as Operation Gallant Knight 3. So far, the UAE has sent 49 aircraft containing vital supplies to Gaza. The aid will be stored in Egypt and delivered to the enclave via the Rafah border crossing. The president of the UAE, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, pledged a $20 million aid package for Gaza and established a field hospital inside the war-torn territory. Last week, the first batch of Palestinian families arrived in the UAE from Gaza as part of Sheikh Mohammed's promise to shoulder the treatment of 1,000 Palestinian children from the besieged territory. The UAE also launched the Compassion for Gaza campaign in October, which seeks to collect aid nationwide for Palestinians in Gaza. The UAE has condemned the military escalation in Gaza and supported calls for a ceasefire, but refused to cut diplomatic ties with Israel. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNA News, United Arab Emirates.
A hijacking incident took place earlier this week in the Red Sea, involving Houthi rebels storming a cargo ship in retaliation for Israel's war against Hamas. They also took hostages, including Filipino seafarers. Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos assured that the government is doing everything it can to ensure the safety of our seafarers. Creselin Catarong has the news.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assured that the government is exerting all efforts to ensure the safety of the 17 Filipino seafarers being held hostage by Houthi rebels in Yemen. According to Marcos, the government is doing everything within its power to safely repatriate the Filipino hostages to the country. The Department of Foreign Affairs, as per PBBM, is in contact with its counterparts in Iran, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia for updates on the situation. Meanwhile, the Department of Migrant Workers is regularly communicating with the families of the hostages. DMW also assured the families of the seafarers of the government's support and assistance. Based on the DFA report, Yemeni rebels took control of the cargo vessel Galaxy Leader, holding its 25 crew members hostage, including the 17 Filipinos, in retaliation for Israel's offensive in Gaza. Meanwhile, the Bahamas-flagged British-owned Galaxy Leader is linked to Israeli businessman Abraham Rami Ungar and is managed by a Japanese firm. The Yemeni Houthi rebels themselves took a video showing their fighters storming the cargo ship at the Red Sea on November 19th. Houthi officials said they hijacked the ship in retaliation against Israel over its war against Hamas. The footage, which circulated online, shows that the hijacking was carried out using a helicopter landing on or hovering inches over the cargo ship. Armed militants swept towards the bridge of the bow. Upon entering, the gunmen held their weapons directly at the seafarers who were on the bridge. The seafarers were seen holding up their hands with one ducking. The rebels blurred out the faces of the seafarers in the cargo ship. Houthi, an Iranian-backed group, has repeatedly launched missiles toward Israel since the war began. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Creselin Catarong, SMNI News.
The president of Brazil once again expressed his condemnation of the terror attacks committed by Hamas in front of his regional allies, campaigned for the creation of a Palestinian state. Natalia Prado for the details of his story live. Natalia.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio da Silva criticized Hamas and also slammed Israel for his actions and delivered a speech during the BRICS Extraordinary Virtual Summit held this week.
The virtual summit hosted by South Africa was attended by Brazil, Russia, India, and China. The BRICS member states discussed the situation in Gaza as fighting between Israel and Hamas entered its sixth week. In his speech, Lula strongly condemned the barbaric attacks committed by Hamas on October 7 against the Israeli people and also blamed Israel for taking revenge against the Palestinian militant group. The Brazilian leader also called for the release of hostages, the creation of Palestinian state, and for the United Nations Security Council to undergo reforms. 3 Brazilians have died as a result of these attacks, while 32 Brazilians have been successfully rescued from the Palestinian territory.
Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Ethiopia, Iran, and UAE have also been invited to join the meeting and will officially join the bloc next year. Back to you, Franco.
Thank you, Natalia, for that live report. During the virtual G20 summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin reaffirmed his country's commitment to Ukraine peace talks amid setbacks. He also said that Russia never gave up on peace talks with Ukraine and cited President Zelensky's decree which banned negotiations with the Russian president. Shikana Dekina has the details.
Кстати говоря, Россия никогда не отказывалась от мирных переговоров с Украиной. Это не Россия, а Украина публично объявила о том, что она выходит из переговорного процесса.
Russia has never rejected peace talks with Ukraine. This was stated by Russian President Vladimir Putin during his speech at the G20 virtual summit. Aside from refuting claims of Russia rejecting peace talks with Ukraine, Putin also mentioned Kiev's public withdrawal from negotiations through a decree signed by President Volodymyr Zelensky in 2022. To recall, last year Zelensky formally outlawed any peace talks with the Kremlin as long as Putin is the president of Russia. Meanwhile, Putin acknowledged the tragedy of the conflict and questioned the global response to events in Ukraine and Palestine.
А кровавый переворот на Украине в 2014 году, за которым последовала война киевского режима против своего народа на Донбассе, это не потрясает? А истребление гражданского населения в Палестине, в секторе Газа сегодня, не потрясает?
Putin's words came after Zelensky admitted setbacks in the counter-offensive and suggested the conflict's resolution could involve conceding Donbass and Crimea, though he asserted Ukraine is not currently ready for a peace plan with Russia.
Сейчас ситуация в глобальной экономике требует коллективных, да и в мире в целом, требует коллективных консенсусных решений, отражающих мнение подавляющего большинства международного сообщества, как развитых, так и развивающихся стран.
Reporting for Newsline World, Shikaina Dikinya, SM9 News.
A Russian destroyer reappeared in Thailand at a time when Russia and the United States are racing for greater influence in the region. Chatmongkong Pisamay Gosan has the news.
Russian destroyer Admiral Panzalaev visited Thailand for the first time since 2019.
The Royal Thai Navy warmly welcomed the Russian vessel as it entered the country's shores recently. The large anti-submarine ship arrived at the Royal Thai Navy's main base at Sattahip. The visit comes after the U.S. Navy deployed a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier in South Korea. The Russians are among the largest group of foreigners to have visited Thailand this year, with the government allowing Russian tourists to enter visa-free and stay in the country for a maximum of 90 days starting in November.
Both sides discussed the possibility of the Thai Navy reciprocating the visit in the near future. รายงานจากราชบุรี นายชัดมงคลพิสมัยโกศล SMS ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
A shocking tragedy happened in the U.S. side of the Rainbow Bridge that goes across the Niagara River that left 2 people killed after a car exploded in the said area. The crash took place a day before Thanksgiving holidays. According to reports, the driver and passenger died in the crash, while a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officer suffered minor injuries and received treatment at a hospital. Authorities have yet to identify the 2 people who died, but another report said that the driver, a 56-year-old man, was traveling in a Bentley automobile with his wife to attend a concert in Canada, but they went to a casino in the U.S. instead after learning that the concert was canceled. The incident was initially believed to have possibly been a terrorist attack, but now has been labeled by authorities as a reckless driver, and no explosives were discovered in or around the wreckage. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said that there was no indication of terrorism in the incident. Meanwhile, the CBP said Rainbow Bridge remains closed, and out of an abundance of caution, it has also temporarily suspended inbound and outbound traffic at 3 other Buffalo crossings that have since reopened. Several residents in Western Australia were forced to flee through the night after a life-threatening bushfire ravaged northern suburbs in Perth. Dozens of firefighters worked day and night to tackle a massive blaze in Perth as Australia's largest state swelters under an extreme heat wave. At least 10 homes were destroyed overnight and more than 1,000 properties are without electricity. More than 100 firefighters are battling the monster bushfire as it quickly spreads amid extreme heat wave conditions. Residents in affected areas were advised to stay up to date with the latest emergency warnings. The regions of Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, and the Northern Territory were forecasted to face an increased risk of fire during the current bushfire season. The Department of Fire and Emergency Services warned it might take days before the massive bushfire will be put under control. Sam Altman is back as the CEO of OpenAI after a bit of drama, and his comeback came just days after his sudden ouster as the chief executive. Justin Nazario tells us more.
After days of chaos in the OpenAI, the company announced an agreement for Altman's return with a new board led by Brett Taylor. The whole situation started with Altman being removed due to unclear reasons. However, his sudden ouster led to employee protests and brought days of chaos for the AI industry. To recall, last week, the board decided to remove Altman, but this led to OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman's resignation. The details of Altman's firing are still murky, but there were reported tensions between him and the original board over how fast AI development should go, and that they had lost confidence in his leadership. The decision of Altman's firing was made by the three non-employee board members, Adam D'Angelo, Helen Toner, Tasha McCauley, and a third co-founder and the firm's chief scientist Ilya Sutskever. But many employees were unhappy about Altman being fired, with more than 700 of them signing an open letter threatening to leave the company unless the original board resigned. The letter also mentioned that Microsoft assured them that they would be given jobs if they wanted to join the company, to which Microsoft later confirmed. Meanwhile, Microsoft, OpenAI's biggest investor, then offered Altman a job, leading to a new and advanced AI research team. But recently, OpenAI said it had agreed Altman's return to the company in principle. Following this, Brockman said that he would be returning to the company. OpenAI also said that it would partly reconstitute the board of directors that had dismissed Altman. Meanwhile, Emmett Shear, who had been appointed as the interim chief executive, welcomed Altman's return, saying that he was deeply pleased about it after 72 very intense hours of work. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Nazario as Gemini News.
Government officials from South Korea and Japan have claimed that North Korea's third attempt to launch a spy satellite to orbit failed for the third time. Ria Saito reports.
North Korea made headlines after it announced it had successfully launched a military spy satellite into orbit on Tuesday. However, Japan and South Korea tried to cut off the celebration by reporting that the attempt was not successful. Japanese officials doubted whether the launch was a success given the slow speed at which the rocket was fired. The officials said they were also trying to confirm if North Korea used the missile technology provided by Russia. Defense officials from South Korea also claimed the launch could have failed and added more time and analysis are needed to determine whether the projectile is working properly there. Meanwhile, North Korea's official media reported that the country's supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, visited the control center shortly after the spy satellite successfully entered orbit. Amid reports of potential failure, North Korea announced that the spy satellite it had deployed recently will start its mission in December and promised to launch more projectiles in the future. Ijon yung kasituloy news at Seshmashta, SMNI News, Japan.
A senior official of China's ruling party met with a delegation from Japan's Komeito Party in Beijing. Alisa Torres reports.
Taiji, a senior official of the CPC, met with a delegation from Japan's Komeito Party, led by the party's leader Natsuo Yamaguchi, in Beijing on Wednesday. Tai is a member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and a member of the Secretariat of the CPC Central Committee. The official pointed out that this year marks the 45th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between China and Japan. To recall, Chinese President Xi Jinping recently had a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, with both sides reaffirming the positioning of comprehensively advancing the strategic and mutually beneficial relations between China and Japan, charting the direction of efforts for both countries.
He also urged the ruling parties of the two countries should earnestly implement the important consensus reached by the leaders of the two countries, accurately grasp each other's development and strategic intentions, promote a positive and friendly mutual understanding, and work together to build a China-Japan relations that meet the requirements of the new era. The official also expounded China's position on issues such as history, the Taiwan question, and Japan's discharge of nuclear-contaminated wastewater into the sea. Meanwhile, Komeito Party leader Natsuo Yamaguchi said that his party is willing to uphold the belief of its founder Daisaku Ikeda in firmly committing to Japan-China friendship, actively promote the exchanges and cooperation between the two countries in various fields, give full play to the role of the exchange mechanism of the ruling parties, properly handle differences, resolve difficulties, and promote the improvement and development of the Japan-China relations. Reporting, this has been Alisa Torres, SMNI News.
During the National Youth Parliamentary Regional Assembly, the Committee on Peace, Building and Security passed a resolution encouraging the Department of Education to create a campus peace organization to combat the recruitment of leftist groups in schools across the country. Ashley Bedico reports.
Fruitful and insightful discussions between youth leaders across the Davao region took place during the 13th National Youth Parliamentary Regional Assembly organized by the National Youth Commission held at Mati, Davao Oriental. The 13th National Youth Parliamentary Regional Assembly aims to craft resolutions to promote peace among youth and contribute to nation building. The activity lasted 3 days from November 20 to 2022 with the participation of 80 youth leaders from various sectors and progressive groups advocating for peace. Keepers Club International were among the active participants of the event.
So my learnings no sa 13th National Youth Parliament sa within 3 days no dako gid siya impact for me because ma-address na ko ang advocacy na maagi sa pagbuhat sa mga resolutions, ordinance and youth bills sa labi na sa amo ang makita nga problema dito sa ato ang mga locality no pamaagi pud aning 13th National Youth Parliament no nagpasalamat pud ta sa ato ang National Youth Commission Davao Region no kay it because ani na makita nato ang unsa jud ang tingog sa mga kabatan-unan diri sa Davao Region. Makita pud nato kung unsa jud sila ka powerful in terms of advocating sa ilahang gina-advocate og sa ilahang tingog.
Meanwhile, the Committee on Peace and National Building passed a resolution urging the Department of Education to create campus peace organizations to combat the illegal recruitment of the CPP, NPA, and NDF inside the universities and colleges. Moreover, these young peace advocates hope that the DepEd would pay attention to their resolution.
It will make a way for us, peace advocates, to help our society and help the youth to really engage in the peace-building initiatives of our government.
Keepers Club International was among the youth organizations that strongly supported the resolution. Its representative also thanked Pastor Apollo Sikibloy for providing the youth a platform to voice their concerns and aspirations, and also for promoting peace and security among the youth through Keepers Club International.
We in the Keepers Club International, through the guidance of our chairman, our main advocacy is peace building and security, aiming that youths will be a nation builder and not a nation destroyer. Through our various programs are prepared for them. And with the help of our co-committee member on peace building and security, we have formulated a resolution urging the Department of Education to establish a campus peace-based organizations, especially in the secondary level. No? So in that way, we could come face-to-face and directly confront the wrong ideology of the CPP, NPA, and NDF. And we also express our profound thanksgiving to our founding chairman, Pastor Apollo Sikiboloy, for his unwavering support and leading this battle against the exploitation of the youth. Anticipate that wherever this battle takes place, we will be there, boldly standing for the brighter future of our nation.
Davao Oriental Governor Nino Sotero extended a warm greeting for the 22nd anniversary of the Keepers Club International. The governor also thanked the organization for advocating for youth empowerment.
Happy 22nd anniversary of the Keepers Club International. Congratulations and thank you for all your initiatives for our communities.
Indeed, the event showcased collective efforts towards shaping a brighter and safer future for the youth and the nation. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Ashley Bedico, SMNI News, Davao Oriental.
The 31st Asia-Pacific Parliamentary Forum, or APPF, and it is expected that the plenary of lawmakers coming from various countries will respect the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. Sigrid Castañeda has the details.
Respect for UNCLOS is among the issues discussed at the ongoing APPF. Meanwhile, Philippine Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri emphasized the need for dialogue between the Philippines and China. The annual meeting for Asia-Pacific Parliaments Forum kicked off on Thursday at the Philippine International Convention Center in Pasay City. Among the attendees are representatives from countries such as Australia, Brunei, Cambodia, Canada, Chile, China, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Laos, Malaysia, Mexico, Micronesia, Papua New Guinea, Peru, Russia, Thailand, and Vietnam. The event, led by Senate President Juan Miguel Migs Zubiri and House Speaker Martin Romualdez, is expected to focus on cooperation in security, economy, health, and other shared regional issues.
All the participating parliaments have submitted their resolutions on political and security matters, economic and trade matters, regional cooperation, and others. And we'll be discussing this heavily in plenary and working groups over the next 3 days.
On the first day, discussions inevitably touched on maritime dispute, and although the West Philippine Sea or South China Sea was not explicitly mentioned, a significant number of resolutions, reaching up to 10, were submitted concerning the promotion of peace. Indonesia's resolution specifically emphasized respect for the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, an issue causing a clear disagreement between Philippines and China, both members of the APPF. Aside from Indonesia, 4 other countries submitted resolutions with similar intentions, according to Zubiri. Despite tensions involving the Philippines, China, and other neighboring members' countries, Zubiri hoped that a consensus would be reached before the conclusion of the APPF. He explained that despite disputes on maritime safety, countries must engage in dialogue to effectively resolve the issue.
We are very happy that China came with a big delegation. Even the president had met with the president of China in the APEC with the speaker. So dialogue should always be there. Constant dialogue and discussions on how we can come up with a common stand on how we will treat one another in the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea issue.
For House Speaker Martin Romualdez, the relationship between the Philippines and China should not be solely tied to the maritime dispute alone, and emphasize the importance of focusing on other aspects that both countries can benefit from.
There are other issues that involve China. We have trade, we have financial engagements, we have cultural, sports, we have many other facets of the relationship that we'd like to build upon. As the President says, let us not let one issue define the total relationship. There's more to it vis-a-vis the relationship with China and with the other countries. So we try to use this forum as an opportunity to look for common ground and common interests where we can leverage upon. We look for those low-hanging fruits for which we can derive and achieve success, confidence-building measures to bring the countries closer and to foster friendship and deeper mutual understanding of one another.
The APPF is expected to conclude on Saturday. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Sigrid Castañeda, SMNI News.
And before we end, may be inspired with the message of the appointed Son of God. You cannot defeat darkness by darkness, evil by evil, and hate by hate. You can only defeat darkness by light, evil by good, and hate by love. And before our Christmas countdown, it's only 31 days to go before Christmas. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For more news updates, you may visit smninewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Franco Baranda. Thank you for watching Newsline World. And thank you to our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo C.K. Beloy, for the opportunity to be part of this program. May you continue to listen on SMNI as it delivers nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news, because SMNI is your source of credible news.